We're up all night to get lucky. Hello, everyone. Bront, CatHerder here. We're having fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and we are here. We're not being daft. We are here to pull some shards because we have a glowing yellow portal and we have a wonderful summon rush here. So I am actually super excited because this is not the summon rush. It's attainable. So 2,000 points, so 4 Sacred Shards for Ishiyama the Immovable, which is great. It's actually nice that they've kind of heard that they need to make these things a little more accessible. This is very stock the Broken-esque, as at least one viewer pointed out to me earlier, and it's actually looking really nice. 3,200 gets you 10 fragments of him, and that is very attainable on a lot of accounts as well, which means you can do things like skip the dungeon divers, or the gear grinding, or the gear approval, whatever it is. So yeah, I would actually like to get this second set of fragments here on this account, and I'm mostly well positioned for it. But one of the other things that is good for this one, going back to that summon rush, is they have actually doubled the points of ancient shards. So ancient point shards usually are not very good at 20 points apiece. So you are talking, you need to pull 25 ancient shards to be the equivalent of 1 sacred shard. Well, now you can actually pull, 12 sacred ancient shards is about the equivalent of 1 sacred shard, give or take, 5. So it's 25 for 2. And that is much better. So that means this is actually very attainable for a lot of players. Particularly this account is stoked. So we are on the free to pause account, as we've mentioned before. One other thing I do want to bring up to you though, one other cool way to get a free champion. So we're going to bring that up first and then we will start pulling shards. So this here is the screenshot that I took on my phone when I used this link. I will have the link down below, but apparently there is a link out there. It's an old code from Boozer, apparently, that has you download Raid and gets you a free Madame Serris, an epic book, some Void Brews, and 300k silver. And, hey, it's a free Void Epic, a free, very good Void Epic for a lot of early game accounts. As far as I can tell, at least according to Fastidious, who's the one who found that, so credit to him, and a link to his channel down below as well. I will leave the links to both of these things down below in the video description, so do check that out. But you can, for existing accounts, go and use this link. You have to uninstall Raid. You then use this link. It will pull you to the App Store on either iOS or Android, and it will then download the game. You don't even have to log out because it will keep you logged in. And as long as your account apparently is under a year old, you can get Madame Serris for free. Now, I've not tested this on an older account yet, so I should test this on my main at some point in time. So we'll see. Maybe I can get a free Madame Serris. Not that I really need one on my main, but for my free to play, this was cool value. The epic book is very valuable, and Madame Serris is actually a really good champion that might actually help the account for a while at least, because it's nice to have a viable debuffer and buff stripper on the account. So hey, get some free stuff. So use that link down below, and while you're at it, if you want to check out that link below that I have to start a brand new account, you can now start a brand new account and get yourself a Madame Serris for free as well on that account, as well as a Rector Drath and an Ugo. Use that link down below. It's pinned to the comments. It's also in the description. Helps you start a brand new raid account with a really, really good start to the account. Alrighty. So here is the plan on the free to play here. So taking a look at all of these champions here, there's a couple of really good ones here. So I have chosen Elva. In fact, we'll remove her for a minute just to show you. Duchess, very, very good. Duchess would probably be amazing in this account as well. And if it was Duchess or Elva, I'm going to pick Elva on this account because Elva helps me in Sylvan Watchers. Elva would help me in Chimera. Elva will help me in Hydra. Now, Duchess will help me in a lot of these areas as well, but Elva will help me more in some of those PvE areas, whereas I've got some solutions to maybe not use Duchess otherwise. Duchess is certainly a slightly better arena champion just because of the way her veils work, but I think Elva is going to help this account a lot more because Elva does the healing and the cleansing, which are things that I'm certainly hurting on. Other champions that would certainly have been very helpful, Freya was certainly in contention. In fact, I might have actually decided to go Freya over Duchess because, again, that cleanse with the block debuffs could be very, very valuable. This dude here doesn't seem too bad. Dune Herald Zarakis, he's kind of interesting. He wouldn't be a bad option as well. And Opardon, since the buff is actually pretty good as well, he brings some additional healing. But Elva just does so much for an account. And as far as the epics are concerned, Mausoleum Mage is the only one I don't have. I do have a Sepulchre Sentinel. I don't really use her at the moment. I don't ever built at all. Quark on the Crown I have. I don't think I'm using him even in Faction Wars at the moment. They're both okay. They're definitely older champions. Mausoleum Mage, I think, is the best of them, and he's the one I don't have. He does, again, bring a cleanse as well as a heal, which is certainly kind of nice, and some turn meter fill, and then he does do block debuffs as well as increased defense and crit rates. So I would not mind getting him, and maybe I'll swap if I get... Actually, I don't mind if I get more than one of him, because I already have 2 Quargons, and I already have a Sepulchre Sentinel. So if I happen to pull Elva, we will swap, but we are going to be pulling 20 Ancients and 3 Sacreds. And then I am going to hold fast until Sunday to see what I'm going to do for the last 500 and some odd points. It might be just a ton of mystery shards. I might get another sacred. And, that just seems the right thing to do on the free-to-play level account. So maybe I get a bunch of sacreds this weekend, and so I regret pulling these ancients. But honestly, I don't think pulling 20 ancients is going to impact this account too badly. And in fact, I saved a bunch of these things, if you remember from the previous weekend's video, where that was actually why I wanted to make sure I had these ancients as a bank just in case. So we're going to pull these things here. We do have a Pepsi I can crack open here. Pepsi is not a sponsor, but think of all the money I could be making Pepsi. I would definitely appreciate it, as well as all the luck that you can bring to people in Raid Shadow Legends who would certainly love to buy a Pepsi to get lucky. Before you watch the video any further, did you know you can use the link down below and start a brand new raid account and get 2 amazing epics? You can get Rector Drath. You'll get her right from the start, right after the tutorial. And once at level 15, you will get yourself an Ugo. Rector Drath is an amazing support reviver. She will heal your team. She will give you perfect veils to protect you. She will throw decrease attack up there. And she has a revive, making it very easy to get through in the early game. And then on top of that, Ugo, you get at level 15 again, is a wonderful support champion. She does decreased defense. She does block buffs. She does healing. She does cleansing. She is an absolute great champion. Very helpful early game, very helpful in end game. They are very good champions in Hydra. They are very good champions all over the game. I use them regularly on every account that I work on. They are great champions and you can get them for free. But not only that, but in the first 72 hours of your account, you can use code Monkey King to get Sun Wukong, or you can use Supreme 6 to get yourself a Supreme Gallic. Both are amazing legendary. Supreme 6 is a Void legendary, so go for Gallic, I suspect. But you know what? Either one of them is absolutely amazing. Start a brand new account today. The steps are very easy. Log out of your Polarium Play account on PC, or simply uninstall Polarium Play. Create a brand new account using the link. Download from there. Run the install. It'll start up Polarium Play, and boom, there's your new account. If you are on Android or iOS, if you've never played before, you can download using my link and get the same benefits as well. It is an absolutely amazing way to start a brand new account, be it a free-to-play, be it a high-spend account, whatever you want to do. It helps support me, it helps get you into the game, and it's a great way to have some fun. Now let's get back to the video. So we're going to pull 20 of these things, and we better get something good. Honestly, a good epic or 2 would be great. To be fair, I'm pulling off of bonus here, so I should be expecting maybe 1 epic in these 20 pulls, and that's it. So hopefully get something better than that. Dancing up there. Hey, ooh. Okay, a lot of different emotions there with that pull. So, first of all, Maz Mage, we already went over his kit. That's going to be good. It's not going to help me in Faction Wars because I've already beaten the Undead, which is the only reason I was less excited about Moz Mage. But he'll be helpful on this account. He can be a useful champion. Cleopteryx is actually fairly good. Will actually give me some additional nukage on this account. It gives me a bunch of different debuffs. Will actually probably help me in Hydra once I can actually build her out. She's going to be a little difficult to build, but you know, and I've already built the Monkey King, so I can certainly figure out how to build Cleopteryx. The problem with me saying, with Cleopteryx is she is actually a free login champion, but she is a free login champion after Vizix. I believe she's the first legendary. It's either her or Gerda. I can't remember. I think it's her, where she is the day 300. She's basically get her around day 360. So I'm not going to get her anytime soon. When I do get her, it's a Faction Guardian. So I'm not going to complain. She actually can hit pretty hard for a Spirit Nuker. What does she do? Well, we get not an AoE, but just a plain old weaken here. Puts a perfect veil on this champion for 1 turn if the attack kills an enemy under a Hex debuff. And she's a 50% chance of placing the weaken instead of just a 30% chance if the target's under Hex. Then she has places a 30% increased crit rate and 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns, so she self-buffs with this one. So you could technically build her with lower crit rate. I don't like doing that on champions, but you could certainly do it. Throws that increased crit rate out as well, or crit damage as well, so that's extra damage on a nuker. That's always good. And then places block active skills buff on a target under Hex debuffs. Unfortunately, this requires her to put out Hex, which she does on this skill. So you either have to put out the Hex first, or you buff first. You don't do both. Now, if you don't need the block active skills, that's fine. And then she's got another AoE, places an increased accuracy buff in this champion for 2 turns, then attacks all enemies, has a chance of placing Hex, has a 100% chance of placing Fear debuff instead on enemies under the Hex debuff in the first place. So I don't have any reliable Hexer at all on this account. So this is going to be a good, reliable Hexer. Doesn't hurt that she's going to be throwing some weakens out there as well. We certainly have the counterattacks. The default skill every time this champion loses 30% or more of their max HP in a single turn. Always counterattacks if attack 2 or more allies are dead. So she gets extra counterattacks as well, especially if people are dying on your team. Not always the greatest thing because you don't want to necessarily get hit in arena and you don't want to be taking that much damage in general. But she gets a chance to counterattack, which is not too bad as well. So is she an amazing, amazing champion? No. But if you recall, I'm going for Ishiyama because Ishiyama is a nuker and I needed nukers badly on this account. So Cleopteryx is a good nuker. Is she going to be the next champion I build? Actually, quite possibly. She could easily be my next 6-star because damage dealers get a lot more out of 6-star, and even in okay-ish gear, she will help me in Skinwalker's Faction Wars, and in good gear, she's possibly a viable damage dealer in Hydra, and will give me some interesting options in Hydra as possibly a second team if I can't fit her in my first team as well. So yeah, actually, this is a good pull. In fact, I've talked myself into it quite a bit more. Again, this is not a great pull, but again, I have to get in the mindset of what does my free-to-play need and can this champion help my account? And yes, this champion can help my account. And honestly, she looks pretty sweet. I think that's just, Raid knocks this stuff out of the park. Yeah, just definitely a cool aesthetic. I guess she's a hawk, kind of. So cool. So that's Cleopteryx, and we've got 10 more. So maybe we can get lucky again. But Pepsi, bring in the heat, bring in the legendaries. Let's get some cool. Honestly, another just good epic would be a wonderful end to these ancients. And if not, they're fodder for champion training, which will be fine. Fodder for champion training, that's fine. I could definitely use that. So, all right, we've got 3 sacreds, so we are going to get at least 3 epics. I really hope these epics are impactful epics, because epics could impact this account a lot more than some of these legendaries possibly could as well. I would love Elva. If Elva pops out of these shards, this would be an absolutely amazing shard pull session on my free-to-play. So, we got the Pepsi again. We say our prayers to RN Jesus, and may he bless this account, and let's get something cool. Ooh, Thylesia. I'm excited. I really, really like Thylesia. And this gives me another decreased defense champion that I can use on the account. She could be a decent damage dealer for Hydra and another Hex champion. So this could be kind of an interesting combination of Cleopteryx. Other than that, it's going to be a squishy team. Now, she is definitely squishy. I think she only has like 13,000 max HP and less than like 800 defense. So she is very, very squishy, but she hits really, really hard. She's got an A1 here, which has a debuff spread against champions that are under Hex. So again, some synergy with Cleopteryx. This book's up to a 75% chance, but she actually works without books. And actually one of the nice things about her, I don't think I'm going to book her right away because I don't think I'm going to need to book her right away because she's actually pretty good without it. She's got an A2, 3-turn cooldown, no books, all the books are for damage. Attacks all enemies, increases the duration of all debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. Debuff increase duration is huge, very, very helpful. This is very, very good for Hydra, so she's going to be very, very viable and good for Hydra. I could actually see this being useful in Clan Boss if she wasn't so squishy. And then she has a decreased defense. It's a 100% decreased defense, unbooked, on a 4-turn cooldown, bookable to 3, but she also has this increase the duration. So this lasts for 2 turns. She gets around for her 2nd turn and increases the duration of this. On top of that, she then has a passive that enemies under decreased defense have a 50% chance of getting Hex on them as well when she attacks them. So she unreliably puts out some Hex, but she does put out some Hex while she's also then doing the debuff extension, and then she's doing debuff spread, and it's great. It works out very, very well. And then she deals a ton of damage as well because she's a great, great nuker for an epic. So I'm actually super excited. This is the type of pull that's going to help move the needle on the account. I was really struggling for damage in my Knights Rev team. In fact, I 6-starred a Whisper. I've still been kind of working on building that Whisper out, specifically to give me some damage in a team that I have a strange amount of tanks in, because Rector Drath is super tanky, and then I've got Dawncaller. So Thylesia combined with my Whisper should be, honestly, just those 4 should be enough to take care of Knights Rev, and then we'll just kind of drag somebody else along with it as well. So that's great. This is absolutely amazing. These are the type of epics I'm looking for. Let's see if we can get something kind of interesting. That is a Gory. Ugh, okay, not good. Gory is probably never going to get out of my vault. Although I have to look at my Shadowkin. Maybe he'll get out of my vault, my Shadowkin, because I've got a couple. I don't have great Shadowkin at the moment, so maybe he'll get some gear on him for Faction Wars until I can put him in the vault. He's got an A1, hits 2 times, heals his champion by damage inflicted, places an extra hit on champions under freeze, or targets under freeze, has a triple hit at random, placing freeze. It's only a 75% bookable to 100. This looks like this might be interesting against hard Fire Knight. The problem is, if on a 3-turn cooldown, this is not reliable enough to control the Fire Knight. This gives you a window opening for another round of attacks, not this solves Fire Knight for you. And then on top of that, he's super squishy as well. So finally, he's got an attacks 1 enemy, ignores defense, as shields, will ignore extra defense if they're under freeze, ignores increased defense, not ignore defense. Place a counterattack buff and 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns of the attack kills an enemy. Just not great. And he counterattacks with the Cold Comfort skill. Whenever an enemy places a stun, sweep, this type of stuff on him, which the Fire Knight doesn't do. So, which is the A1. Okay. So yeah, he's just not great. He is not a very good champion. I can see if I can use him on this account, but as I said, I think he might struggle with Faction Wars because he's a single target damage dealer and debuffer that doesn't do a lot of damage. He doesn't hit very hard, and so he just needs some help. Honestly, if they gave him a freeze on this A1, then suddenly he would become a very viable Fire Knight champion, and you wouldn't have to change anything else. Suddenly he would become somewhat useful, and maybe increase his passive where he does more damage against champions that are frozen or something like that. I don't know. You know, that type of stuff might help him a little bit. He's just not great, but they're not buffing epics, unfortunately. But hey, you know, it's a new champion, which is kind of nice as well. Let's go. We got one more. Maybe we'll get lucky with legendary. Hopefully we'll get a really good epic at least. This really is the duplicate account. Vergis is great. Well, Vergis is good. I built Vergis early on in the free-to-play account. It's the only thing I thought I might have screwed up on, but I screwed up on it because I pulled him and started building him, and then I pulled a Taragi right when I maxed him out, and I hadn't booked him yet, so I saved the books. But Vergis is great because he can actually solo the Scarab King, the Scarab Boss, or whatever you want to call him. You can put him in some destroy gear, and he basically stays in live. What he does, he's got the A1 here that can put reflect damage up. That's not super exciting. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's a defense-based skill, and he's a defense-based champion, so he's super tanky. He's got the A2 here that's on a 3-turn cooldown once you book it. Puts a continuous heal buff, an increased speed buff, and reflect damage on a target ally, and then ally protection on everyone and increased defense on him. So this is a great way to keep people alive. This is part of why he can solo the Scarab Boss, because he can keep himself healed. Because even if he's just putting this on himself, he gets a continuous heal and a reflect damage and an increased speed on himself, so he gets around in more turns. And then finally, this is a 3-turn but can book down to a 1-turn. He puts a continuous heal buff on this champion every 2 turns when their HP drops below 50%. And then the passive effect displaces a shield of this champion equal 10% of their max HP for 2 turns where this champion loses 10% or more of their max HP from a single hit. So basically, it's really hard to get him down because he's basically constantly healing effectively 10% of his max HP with this shield buff. And then he puts a continuous heal on if he drops below 50%. So if you build him right with enough regeneration and other stuff like that, he'll keep himself above 50% for most of the time. And every once in a while, when he gets hit below 50%, he gets an extra continuous heal that heals him well above that 50% again. So very good against soloing the Scarab Boss. Could actually be useful in Clan Boss, which was partially what I was looking for in him because I needed the ally protection. And I said, do I kind of regret him? Maybe, but again, it's because I pulled a better ally protector early on, and then later on, when I was ready to actually possibly build him as my second ally protector in Clan Boss, I got Tyrant, who is a much better ally protector as well than Vergis for that particular role. So, yeah. Is Vergis great? He's not bad. I still use him. He's been very good for me for the Scarab stuff. And in fact, what I usually do for Scarab on this account is I pair him with my Templar of Doom, which you can certainly check that video out. I'll try to remember to link that above here. But yeah, he's a duplicate. So, that is something though. That gives me some extra points in my faction guardians for the High Elves. So we can certainly do that right now. As you can see, I haven't even fully 60'd him yet. He's just at 57. He's got his masteries. He's built well enough. Oftentimes I find on these free-to-play accounts that as much as it's great to get champions to level 60, sometimes I just kind of let it naturally happen because I might run them in some sort of other dungeon or something like that, and they just sort of naturally get up to 60, or occasionally I'll just start throwing some brews around in them if I absolutely have to. But, sometimes I'll throw them in the Guardian Ring as well. In fact, that's kind of what I've been doing here. Like my UDK has been sitting in the Guardian Ring when I'm not using him, because it's getting them some extra gear level and getting them closer to the level I want here too. So, hey, that's actually kind of a cool session here. I got 2 champions I'm really excited about. I got Mausoleum Mage as well, who could be interesting as well. So we'll see. Probably stash him for now because I don't think I'm going to have enough resources to build him. But Thylesia is great because I don't need to book her, and she's going to help my Knights Revs a ton. And hey, we got a legendary. I was not expecting that legendary either, so I don't know how close I was to Mercy, but I did not think I was anywhere near close. So that was an off Mercy pull without a 2x. So that's absolutely amazing. So good news. I don't want to say I'm an idiot, but I literally had to finish my monthly stuff, which finished today, for my free-to-play. So I got an extra Sacred Shard. So I have enough to finish the Summon Rush right now, or at least mostly finish the Summon Rush right now. So we're going to get 1 bonus shard pull here on the free-to-play. So let's get something cool. We did not get a legendary on these, so that'd be nice. Ooh, Achak the Wonderin. He's cool. This is actually a really good pull. He is, unfortunately, not going to help me for Fire Knight Hard, but he could be fun in Fire Knight Normal, and he's just a good champion in general. So he's got an A1 here that does 30% decreasing the duration of 1 random buff on the target if they're under HP burn. Also 30% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter if they're under freeze. Sounds weird, but it makes sense if you know his kit. A2 places block debuffs on all allies for 1 turn, and a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is great. This This is actually really good in Faction Wars. Now, it's only a 4-turn for a 1-turn block debuffs, but Strengthen is a great debuff as well. Only needs 1 book here, which is kind of nice. Finally, attacks all enemies, has a 70% chance of placing freeze debuff, or 1 turn on enemies who attack is higher than their defense, and has a 70% chance of placing HP burn on enemies whose defense is equal to or higher than their attack. So what he does is he freezes some things and he burns other thing. And basically it's going to be based off of, are they going to be doing damage? Then he pauses them. If they're more tanky, he burns them so they start taking some damage. So he is a very good spider control champion because he will burn the spider queen and he will freeze everybody else. But on top of that, heals all allies by 5% of their max HP every time an enemy under HP burn debuff gets a turn, and then fills the turn meter of all allies by 10% every time an enemy under freeze gets a turn. So basically, every time somebody loses their turn to freeze, everybody on your team gets 10% max HP. And then every time anybody takes damage for burns, well, then he gives you a 5% heal per champion as well. So he is very, very good. He is good in Faction Wars. In fact, on this account, he'll actually be really good for Faction Wars. I thought I was set on my Demon Spawn, but I think he will actually help me a ton on my Faction Wars. So that might be, that with Tyrant will be a great addition to the team here too. So that's great. So yeah, I'm actually super excited to get this dude on this account as well. So yeah, he will be built out. At least he'll be built out to 5 stars early on. I don't need him for Spider, although he's really good for Spider, but I've already got Croydon the Blue, and yeah, he'll be good for Faction Wars. He's certainly going to be good for some Centranos wave clear, and he's a good champion to have an account. So, hey, we'll get back to the rest of the video. Hey, hopefully you guys are getting something interesting this weekend. Let me know if you pulled anything really exciting down below. And, you know, hey, hopefully you get some luck for watching for your next shard pulls if you've already pulled. So take care, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. You guys have an absolutely wonderful day. And until the next video, I'm Bront, CatHerder.